Okay, now this mic is working. All right, let's share the screen and jump into the app. So, when we ended yesterday, we had been deleting functionality that was in the mockup that we weren't going to be able to build today. Um, Today's my last stream before my 2-week vacation. So the goal is to get as close as possible to a feature complete and coherent and consistent application as possible before my vacation. Um, so to increase coherence, we had been deleting functionality yesterday, and we specifically left these popovers, which are purely static. It is not January 2022. These don't do anything. But it is functionality that I want to build. So that's going to be the focus today. Let's add the ability to set a due date for a task. Don't mind my dogs drinking water in the background. So really briefly, to just explore what the live interaction looks like on Superlist. If you set a due date, as with list, right, it shows what was selected here in this summary section, and it shows the selected date in orange here in this calendar view. The calendar view is a grid. We're going to show the month and the year, the first letters of the days of the week, and then a 7x6 grid of dates. We aren't going to be able today to build repeating or reminding, and I'm not sure we're going to be able to get to specific times. I think we'll just do dates. So it's just stuff from here up, and we see today the selected due. We can clear. Nothing is orange. We can pick a specific day. We see the hover effects. The summary shows relative. So that's the goal. That's what we're shooting for. And in order to help us scaffold this functionality up, I have been reading the source code of Chris Oliver's Simple Calendar gem. If you haven't seen this gem, it just provides the scaffolding to render this. I want to keep control of all of the finer details, but the source code is going to be useful for us. So let's jump into it. I am in the task partial, which is the partial that drives this details view here. And our popover widget, calendar, is this details summary view. So let's create a new file for our do on popover form. And let's move this over here. And we're going to take our labels popover magic comment and put that at the top here. So this should keep everything the same. Perfect. So let's scaffold out here what we need the database to be. As a reminder, I like to move from database to models to controllers to views. I just made this quick view refactor to prepare us at that point. But we're definitely going to need to generate a migration and we have a couple of options here. So we could use the underscore on convention for a date and restrict our ability to store a time in the same column. And that's one option. And if and when we got to the point that we wanted to add the ability to specify a time, we could then either migrate do on to do at, do a backfill. We could also add a new column that stored just a time value and have two separate columns for the date and the time. Or right now, today, we could make this a do at and simply used a fixed, non-changeable from the end user's perspective time component. I'm not sure the best way to go. But I'm going to go this way. Just seems it'll be simple, a single column. We can constrain the time. We can expose the time to the form later. So let's just do that. We will commit this. We want to just commit our new. Just the migration. And we definitely want this to be nullable. It's an optional value. And we don't need to index it right now. I don't think we need all of those finer details. So just adding the column should be sufficient. So we can run that migration, no alterations needed. and it's just adding. So we have our database set up the way that we want. If we go into our task model, we don't need a validation for this unless, let's check, does Superlist like restrict you from setting a due date in the past? Nope. So we don't need to restrict that either. The one thing that we could do is we could override the setter here to set the time value. And I think what we could do is use beginning of days. If I do like time.current and I do beginning of day, it just wipes that out. Let's see if this is real Ruby. Always worth checking when you get code from a LLM. So we're gonna, at the model layer for now, wipe out any time component, normalize all of our times for our do add value. And that should be fine. Last thing, in our controller, I want to add the strong parameter. Nothing fancy is needed there. So we made it to the views. Let's start by switching our details into an anchored popover. So we're going to get our trigger here. This is going to use the calendar 3 icon, but the rest of that can stay the same. And we want to call this do at. And we will call this do at. There we go. Do at 2 days. So if we have a time and we call to date, we just get the date. And if we do time ago in words, hey, Marco, happy Sunday to you too. Yeah, not as fun when you're preparing for a big trip, but fun to add due dates to tasks in your to-do app, right? So time ago in words works well for the past. Do we have something similar for the future? I want to step Rails. Let's see here. Time ago in words. Distance of time in words to now, which is an alias for time ago to words. Let's see what time ago in words does with a date in the future. So 2 days from now. Yeah, so it doesn't add a sort of preposition. If we do weeks, it's not doing weeks at all. Let's sort of see, make it big. Okay, it sort of jumps up. So we can use this. We're just going to want to add our sort of prefix or suffix. So let's do an if condition here. So if task do at is in the past, whoops. We're going to say ago, and otherwise we're going to say in. Not the helper itself. Not that I see. Doesn't it also say ago? I mean, we'll find out when we render this. We can take task ID is this 4. We can do task find 4 update column do at. We can set this in the past 2 days ago. Did I save this? I did. Why is it a string? Let's that is not a string. As a side note, this is obviously one of the limitations of normalizing data only in the model layer. Anyone can just do this in a console anytime they want, but we're ignoring it, so it's okay. Let's restart our server here, make sure. Yeah, it doesn't add a go on its own. We need to do that ourselves, but that is okay. So we get our title in there. Might want to put a little bit of, didn't put any spacing here, don't put any spacing here. Okay. No extra spacing. Then we've got all of this, the actual popover, which has a form inside of it. So these sections we will keep. These sections we will not. So for now, we're just going to put this static content in there. Okay. So let's work on these, which are a bit simpler. Let's pull up Rails. So I think in a the way that I see this in my mind's eye for a DOM is that these 3 here are radios that have the appropriate values for the do at column. So we used radios for our list popover form. We can go and grab that. Let's close the whole calendar thing. So we want to do at here. we mark it to do? Come back to that. So in our case, we could build a static, or not static, but just, yeah, I guess static, a static array of the options that we want to support. I'm just going to do this in the view for now. We'll think about how we want to extract this in just a bit. So I'm going to follow the same order here. So the value and then the label. So for the value, we can say date.today. And for the label, today. For the next one, we're going to do 1 day from now, which is tomorrow. And then we're going to go 1 week from now, and that is next week. These methods are going to be first and last, because the iterator gets our arrays, and it'll have those methods available to us. We get our field ID, and I want to set that up. It looks okay, so they don't do a check mark. I think I'm going to leave the check mark. I like the consistency. I don't see a problem with it. So we'll leave the check mark. Grab one of these just in case I want the styles. We'll see what the styles look like. And then inside of our form, we just want to set up our invisible submit button. Let's go over here. Let's look at our back end. So it made the change. It made the update. Our title looks weird, so we'll look at that, but let's just see what happens. So we started our patch. We updated task due at to today's date, 25th, normalized out the time, but that time, our time ago in words, is caring about the difference in hours, right? It'll be precise to the level of hours. So let's look at that. We don't really want that. Let's see if there are some options that include seconds. Come on. All right, we're going to have to go see the implementation of distance of time in words. So, I think what we might need to do is use distance of time in words and pass in 2 normalized values. So instead of using time.now, which cares about the exact hour and minute that it is right now, we can normalize and just look at dates, right? So I can say from and to. I'm not sure if it's going to really matter the order. All right, so we'll say date.today. What are these parens? And date.today. Let's look at that. It still wants to be a bit too precise. So let's add some conditions. I think that is a method. Let's do a quick check. So if the duet is today, then we're just going to write, did they capitalize it? They capitalized it. Today. I think we have a tomorrow method. We very well might end up moving this into a view helper, but I'd like to leave it all. I like to minimize indirection when we're just trying to get things working. So it shows tomorrow. And if we do next week, well, in our case, does it always do the beginning of the week? Next week, it's not 7 days from now, it's the start of next week is what they are doing. We can fix that. Anyway, that's simple enough for now. So it's due today, but we're not selecting okay. All of this is it feels off. So I think I want to scrap all of this and go back to the database and use a do on simple date value. Let's split date and time and not have to mess with all of this normalization. I can just leave this here. Discard. You can stay around. Undo. Okay. So let's just rename this. Okay. I like this. So, simple date values. When we add time, I'll add a new column and we will cross that bridge when we come to it. We're going to come back to our controller, add our strong parameter. We're not going to do anything in the model. We don't need to normalize anything. And all of our references to do at become do on. And you, we don't need. You, I might need, I don't know. Yes, of course, it's optional. All of this can be nil. So I need to else if task dot do on dot future, and then we actually add the else condition, which is just nothing, but I'll explicitly write it. I'm going to restart this server. Sometimes it's weird with our database. I don't know. Always safer. And let's set our due on tomorrow. Okay, now it's selected. And we set it to today. And we set it to next week in 7 days. All right, that feels much cleaner. I am happy with that change. And honestly, probably having separate columns for these, even in this UI, it's like a separate sort of popover, and it's just the time. And I think you can change the time separately from changing the date. I think all of that's going to be easier with 2 columns. So I feel good about this decision. We can make this, though, match the behavior that we saw in Superlist, which is to make next week be the next Monday. Personally, I want to go ahead and make a tweak to the UX from Superlist. Just call the label more precisely what it is. We've got the space. Yeah. Nothing wrong with a bit of clarity. Okay, so we can set these values. Nice. So now we just need to do that for our calendar view. So let's sort of make this calendar view realistic. The calendar view has 3 sections, as we can see here. So show the current month and year, and have the ability to navigate by month forward and backwards. Oops. Then yeah, I could do both options, start of next week and in a week. And we might do that. Then we have our header static list of the first letters of the days of the week. And then all of our dates. So let's start here. And as I said at the beginning, I'm just going to lean on some of the patterns found in Chris Oliver's Simple Calendar Gem. So one of the things he does, which I'm a big fan of, to use a time tag whenever you are showing times. So we can actually use the time tag helper, which will help us set this date time attribute for us. So the first value is a string and the next value is a date. So date.today, and we'll just use the same format. And he is leaning on the localization file for the month name. And that's probably smart. But it's probably a way also just to get this in Ruby, and I don't care right now about localizing it. Say Rails get name of current month. Do I really have to use? This is honestly a bit weird that there's not something in active support to make either this or this a bit simpler, but so be it. Undefined method for instance of string. Do I have the order of arguments backwards? The date and then the label. I do have the well, let's just see what this does. Right, our label isn't showing the year. We need to add that. And the date time, yeah, showing both. Let's come back. Let's use this. This is a little bit more, gives us a bit more control because we want to format this to not include the actual date. And we want to include the year. So and yes, we don't have a start date, but we can do today. February 2024. Nice. We're going to have to deal with navigation later. So we need to build our grid of dates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 weeks long. This date range shows this nifty bit of Ruby. So we take this start date, we go to the beginning of the month. So in our case, that would be February 1st. Whatever day of the week that is, we then go to the beginning of the week. This ensures that we get to the Monday. We want to start there, and we want to run to the end of this month, which is going to be February 28th. And we want to go to the end of that week, even if that extends into the next month. So this is how we're going to ensure that we get our proper rectangle. We take that range and we turn it into an array of dates. What this Tailwind UI inspired layout does is it uses grid columns, like a grid layout. So he had a table and he had different table rows, and you had to split things up every 7. These are all siblings, so we don't need to do anything more except for date range each date. And then, well, let's actually do that there. Inside of there, we are going to set up whatever this is. In our case, I think we want to keep just using radio buttons. That actually makes sense to me. So actually, I don't think we even need date range dot each. We can pass that in. Oops. Here. And the value is just the date itself. And the label, we want to be the number. I need to run. So date dot today dot date. How do I get the numeric value of the date? So the number 25. Day, I think. Yeah, day. So we'll do that for our label. So instead of a button, this will be the label. And just get rid of all of this. So we've got this reminder here of the different states, selected, nature of the date. I'm not sure that these classes are correct, but we've got some different examples here. So we're going to need to build all of that out. But let's leave the color stuff in for now. I can delete this up here as well. We don't use that. So we just put our radio button and our text, but we want to wrap our text in a time tag. This time I think we can do it directly. Builder.value, builder.text. I'm just going to grab all of these and stash them over here. We've got our, this is an example of not selected and in the previous month. All of these are going to be identical. This is not selected and in the current month. I think we might want the other one, because I don't see anything orange in this one, which is selected. That was in collection. 26th. So the 12th is today. The 26th from the other one is selected. And then we have a day from the next month. These should be the 5 examples that we care about. And this part is shared. Well, okay. I'm just going to leave this. This has got the regular and dark and has checked and things, and we'll tweak it. Let's just see what this renders. "26th" checked. Okay, we've got something here. Trying to figure out why there's as much of a oh, okay, there's also a big gap down there. Fair enough. Let's look at the in 27 days. That's not right. This is we should use a time tag for that as well. Oh, I duplicated the word. There we go. But we're doing time, so we should use time tags. And it's useful for the browser, but even more selfishly, it's useful for us. We can go in and see the value. That is actually being applied. It's actually present, in the database. time ago. Time tag. Yep, and now I see we set it to January 29th. Cool. All right, so let's start fixing these styles. So we get rounding first. Much better. I don't need all of that. So we're going to need to do some logic here. So let's just prepare this. We set all of that. And then I think that the way class names works, does it take, so we could do a hash. Let's do, is the value a string? And then if you return, the key is a string, value. Yeah, like that. So we're going to deal with our value. I wonder if active support has a quicker way to check if the month is past month. Check if date is in past month. Last month. End of month. Okay, so we want to know, is the date being rendered before today, last month, end of month? Then we want some classes. Text gray, hover BG orange, text white. Yeah, so those all stay the same. If it's in this month, it's just that we add some classes if it is today. So that's nice. So we can do builder dot value. Do we have a within? So let's do one.month from now. between, and I can say date.today, month, date.today, beginning of month, end of month, and that is false. So is it in this month? And we have our today shortcut. So then we have some classes for the current day. So if builder.value is today, yes, indeed. Text gray 900, hover, BG orange. That's not the right one. Collection 26. This is the 26 that I want. So if you are selected, text gray 900, you're in this month. Dark text white, you're in this month. Hover BG orange 650 in this month. What? Did I forget the date correctly? Which? Yeah, it's 21. Okay. Just show me the distinct classes. BG orange 600. And then these are the same, whoops, as those. So if after like so. All right, let's give that a whirl. So today is the 25th. It has a border. Alexa, stop. I'm not sure what she heard. So that's correct. All of our hover effects are correct. But we've got a few here. These need to be gray. They need to have a hover effect. This needs to be gray. So I need something that's like on or before, you know. On or before. I really don't love doing the comparison like greater than equals to methods. For some reason, they just, my brain doesn't read them super well. But in this case, I might not have, wait, do they have new? So if I say 1 month ago, and I do so they have day versions, I think, but not month versions. But in this case, I'm not sure we can avoid it. So like that, I think. So we got them right down here. These are still not quite right. So what do we have wrong here? So let's take, for example, the 29th. So if we do task find do on, and we're going to call this value. You could use the beginning of the next month for the date to compare against. I don't immediately parse that. I can set today to today. If I take today and I get that, and I say value less than or equal to that, I get true, which is what I would expect. And I'm not sure why these classes are then not getting added, because this is all the same. 2024, 130. Feels like I'm for the before. Yeah, it seems like I'm missing something though, because I just checked this logic with like all the same stuff. So take Monday, January 29th as our value. Today is still today. If I check value less than or equals to today, last month, end of month, I get true. So why don't these have the classes? Like, I must just be like using class names wrong. Okay, let's just pull this up for a second. Yeah, I must be using class names wrong in some way. I mean, this isn't even doing a check. Oh, it's because I have a guard. It's an even smaller guard. What am I missing here? By the first one, do you mean this one? It's getting applied. All of those classes are always present. We're fine on that. That's there. It's just these three don't have, and all of the other ones are getting applied. And even when I just set true, oh, I do. Oh, right. Fuck. Yeah. That's right. Like that. That's what I need. Gray, all the rest. And we have auto submitting, so I can set it to the 27th in 2 days. Start of next week. What was wrong with start of next week? Sorry, I need to bring this back up to my size. I can see start of. So if I set tomorrow, that's going to stay the same. All right, today. What happened? So this is working. Our calendar is working, but now our shortcuts aren't. What happened? Input, I see a value. No, the calendar's working fine. So it patches when we use the calendar. We get a patch, but when we do this, okay, we don't have a value in our param. So the parameters are being accepted fine, but the value isn't there. But I don't. I do. Oh, I do understand why. This input here from our first call to collection radio buttons, we've got, where do we put that other one? Up here. We call collection radio buttons twice. And each time it's going to put in a hidden input to empty the value. And so this one, and then after these take over, but later down in our calendar, we get another one. And this blanks out the values set up here. Oof. Is there really no way to just give it an option and tell it to not do that? Yeah, that is annoying. And I really wish I could just like tell the method to not worry about it. What is this? Come on, where can I find? Okay, let's just go. Yeah, I could convert every single day to button 2. That is true. I don't want to, but I could. Come on, just. Yes, just give me this, please. Collection helpers. What is include hidden? Sounds like what I want. So include hidden false. This is our first one. It just doesn't solve our problem. I just want to check if I can get that option working. Voila, it was gone here. So, okay. Goodness. No, I'm sure somewhere I could have found like the docs for that. I'm guessing. I don't know. But we come down here. We put it here. So we have the first one. So we have one of them. But it's at the very start of our DOM. And for our second one, we turn this off. And I'm going to write a comment for this because that's a nasty little thing, and you got to know how important this is. Why am I using radio buttons for this? Aren't you submitting anyway on click? I am submitting on click. The reason that I am using radio buttons is not super precise or clear. I sort of have this aesthetic preference for trying to find a middle ground between really verbose DOM and a sort of kind of progressive enhancement. And I'm not even sure that I have struck that middle ground particularly well um, in this case, right? Because, so if I wanted to like progressively enhance this more properly, I would only be visually hiding the submit buttons if I have confirmed that my autosave stimulus controller has connected. Because otherwise, there's no clear way to submit these forms. And if I did use button 2 for all of these, I would have a more resilient interface, though it would also be a more verbose interface because this would be a form, 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 you know, this would be a form, this would be a form, this would be a form, and so forth and so on. So I'd like to sort of start with just the simplest possible DOM and see how far it gets me. But there are valid reasons to consider refactoring this to just using all button 2s. And in general, maybe we should do that somewhere just to demonstrate it because I do want to demonstrate to the larger Rails community that button 2 is an incredibly useful and powerful tool. And if you break out of the overly limited and simplistic thinking about how to structure forms, you really can build very interesting, complicated, complex UIs with just links and forms. But you have to really understand like all of the flexibility that is available to you with forms. I want to do a demo sometime. I haven't yet found like a great UI and UX to sort of drive it, but to demonstrate in the DOM, and maybe I have to think about it. I need to meditate on it. This might be a good example to demonstrate a pattern of like, so the big problem with forms is that you can't have nested forms. And so I think people see that and know that and then start reaching for really obtuse solutions to that problem. And I want to demonstrate an alternative solution to that problem, which is like at the top of your body tag, just render all of your forms that you're going to need on that page as empty forms. So they have IDs, you set up your action, your method, they have the authenticity token that they need, but that's it. There's nothing else in them. If there are some other hidden inputs, like some state that's always packaged together as a part of that form submission, they can be in there too. But there are no rendered UI elements. So you just stack them up at the top of your page. And then in the rest of your rendered page, you just explicitly associate all of the inputs and buttons to their respective forms. So you have normal DOM, you can have whatever kind of structural nesting that you want and need. And instead of relying on the implicit association that comes when you nest an input or a submit button inside of a form, if you just rely on explicit association, then you can completely disaggregate the DOM structure for rendering from the form elements themselves. And so you can completely avoid the problem that you can't nest forms. So even if in your UI you need visually nested forms, if we had something like, well, there's a bunch of different ways to solve it, but like, visually, like this was one form that was hitting resource A, and this was another form and it's hitting resource B. You can do that. Anyway, that's like a demo I want to do, and I'm a big fan of like being more creative and with forms. And that is a very interesting solution to this problem. Is just like atomize everything. We're already sort of partially atomizing. This is a form. 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 We could just take it one level deeper and make each individual interactive bit a form, and make the interactive parts the actual submit button. So you don't even need JavaScript to auto submit. But I didn't go that route just because, fundamentally, I didn't think of it. I thought in like, this box is a form and I'll use autosave and all of that. But I like the idea. I want to play around with it at some point. This is not marked as selected. And this is probably something similar with having two different collection radio buttons for the same attribute. Just as an experiment, I'm going to switch the order of these. And now they both come up. What's up with that? Did I do this sort of backwards? Maybe my mental model here was off. This has nothing to do with it. Why is it? Oh, right. Okay, of course. Sorry, my brain is working slowly. If you've been writing about it, I think radio buttons would make sense if you allowed to reselect the date and only submit it on closing the popover. Yeah, that's true. And here's another problem with radio buttons as I'm into it. These are all the same name radio button. Is audio echoing? So only one can be selected at a time visually. When I put this later, the nature of my selector this later one will get checked and then it comes up visible, but visually I render this as checked regardless of like the radio buttons state. Okay, perfect. So that is annoying. I'm trying to think if we switch to all button twos, how I would show that this one was selected. I guess I could just conditionally do some CSS similar to what I have down there in class names. But I don't have a ton of time, so let's get what we have collected. And let's use it. Over here, calendar 3. So now they both say today, and if I change it to tomorrow, they both say tomorrow. And if I change it to the 28th, they both show that. Very nice. So some definite room for improvement. What did I see on how to fix tricks? Something about data turbo permanent. And there was something else. But I don't right now recall what it was. Okay, but that seems to be fixing it. I think I have another one. Whoops, no. Rich text area. Over here. No, I don't do anything with that. Over here. So that stays well. Ensure tricks works with morphing. Nice. And we need to shrink this. We need to show tasks as well. So in our list view, let's grab another flex grow session. And as if we were in tasks index, where we render main, render tasks form, render tasks collection, render task collection. But I don't think they do grouping in the context of lists. And now we need to make this more explicit. And in this context, we don't need that here. The title why has this got more padding on it? $48 RAM. Yeah, this is just not. So if I came back here, does that match where inbox is? Yes. And then for this one, like that. Okay, now these are lining up. And then I just need that one. Okay. Better. So in our list view, does this show up here? New list task. Yeah, it's going to take me back to inbox. I'm just trying to do some polishing. I'm just like doing a quick sprint on polishing. So I'm going to say redirect back, fallback location. Yeah, and this form is not taking our, that's not what we want. So we want to do list tasks new like that. So if I do a new list task 2, what happened there? Insert into task. List ID nil because our form probably doesn't have one. Fair enough. New list task 3. Okay, now we're talking. So it's it's shrinking the size of this. How do we make this a little bit more constrained? I do something like min height 50% on you and min height 50% on you. And then I do, well, I'm going to lose that when I morph, so I need to put it in here. Like that. Okay, that's better. So I like our list view now. Our navigation, this is permanently showing. Let's do some commits here. Redirect back to refer after creating task. Show list tasks in lists. Show view. Want to make our navigation a little bit more truthy. And how to do that? We take all of that. And what is our inbox? Right now, we don't have an inbox. How do they distinguish it? So inbox, tasks. If I add a task to a list, does it disappear from inbox? Yes. Okay. So let's see here. Let's get I might not actually need that. I can say tasks path. No, let's do this. Controller tasks index inbox defaults filter inbox. And this is, let's put these under. Let's see if this works. Inbox tasks, get tasks, index, filter, inbox. Okay. I'm not sure if this is like a Rails helper, so I'm about to find out. Yeah, it is. I wonder what it inbox today, task today, tasks. Okay. So this is now showing things. If I do browse all, what is it? Yeah, okay, it shows that this is selected. I'll take something like this. This one is a bit trickier. We're not in there. So we can say something like, and we want to do the same for these as well. If current page so our navigation shows us where we are. Ensure navigation sidebar shows us correct current page. Now let's just make these filters work, and then we'll make the pages work. So set tasks. Case params filter, and we've got inbox, and we've got today. So when it is inbox, that is tasks without a list. So where a list ID is nil, and when it is today, that is where tasks are due today, I presume. See what tasks are due today and review any overdue tasks. So we can do, wait, 3 dots. Is 3 dots inclusive or 2 dots inclusive? Let's jump into a console here. Task.where due on 2 dots. And today is the 25th. Greater than and include. Okay, and then 3 dots will probably be just less than. Yeah, so we want 2 dots. Okay. In order to render different pages, I think we're going to need to make these different actions. actually. We're going to need inbox and today. Yeah, there's something about like three. I can't remember it either, Dean. It's something about like three dots that makes me feel like it's the fuller version, so it will be inclusive. But I like had it in the back of my head like that. I think that's wrong, but like intuitively it feels right. So I don't think we need any of this if we're going to use separate actions, and we just say inbox and today, and we take this. We'll start with inbox. And main now needs to pull some stuff out. Let's just use some simple content for. So we're going to say yield title, yield description. Not sure that this will work. I was doing that to support breaking onto new lines right where I wanted. But when I just tasks, okay, so this is tasks. And yeah, I can't select text because these are just pixels, view, sort, and access. All of your tasks in one place. No period. And we make one more. I'm sure this is called today. See what's due today. And review any overdue tasks. Looks right. Let's, for an instance of hash, right, we should put this first. Can you not do content for this way? I thought that you could. But clearly not. Okay, can I do it this way? I clearly do not use content for often. Yes, I know the block version. I just don't want to have to do blocks all the time. How do you do a simple string content for? Come on, this is so stupid. Okay. So be it. Oh, God. What do I do? Do I need like an equal sign in front of it, or like what? Content for title do like take my content. I hate being slowed down or blocked by stupid stuff like this. Yeah, I know. I was like, I've done this stuff before. I haven't done it like super recently, but like, do I have to just make this some freaking? All right, if I make you some HTML, are you gonna like show up? Here, I'll even put. Let me put some more stuff. I don't know. Maybe title is page title, but it's still should show something. Yeah, title was up there. That's for sure. I see it. I saw it up there. Yeah, that's not in the docs. They just do content for. Oh, yield. Oh, it's it's stupid. Okay, let me come back. I bet you I can just set them as strings. Render. What's wrong? Oh, I renamed them. Okay, come on. I don't have a syntax error. I put a. Yes, thank you. Ugh. Yep, so I just need to update the others. Main title, main description, main title, main description. Tasks, today, inbox. All right, let's take a task. Let's mark it due in the past. Go to today. There it is. We group them by overdue. All right, we can do that, but it's 3:30, so I have to stop here. We're close, right? We just need to make this similar to tasks or even inbox, sorted by due date and setting the label to be overdue for things that are in the past is all that we need there. Let's commit this. Add proper inbox today and tasks views. Add it to do con. Actually, let's go fix this list popover form. So this shouldn't be list.all. Let's just do current user lists. Only show current users lists in the list popover form. Okay. Yeah, we also need to fix we render a show page, we're rendering main in that context, and we don't respect the context. We haven't like architected the app correctly to bind these two things together. So that is a to-do. Shows correct main section based on the referrer. But I have to stop streaming in order to finish packing and running errands before the vacation. So didn't quite get to like perfectly coherent, consistent, usable application in the week and 3/4 that I have been streaming. This is my 11th stream. But we got really close, and there's a lot of functionality packed in here. We have experimented with a lot of different modern tools, from Turbo 8's morphing to browser view transitions, the popover API, the anchoring CSS API. We have done some more complicated things with forms. We've got a lot of button to elements. We have used some different techniques for sort of embedding forms into different UI elements, whether that's a toggle button like this or a editable title like this, these popover forms in their various formats, these kinds of searchable popover forms, our big rich text areas, integrating rich text areas with tasks, getting these full width labels, playing around with layout, doing the sort of weird sorting / grouping operation that Superlist does. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. I probably will end up coming back to this once I'm back from my vacation. I don't like leaving things unfinished, but we'll see how things go. Thanks for following along. Everything is up in the repo, and I look forward to seeing what all you think of it and what you maybe even do with it. Feel free to pull it down, add some features, fix some stuff, right? Like it's a public repo. And I will be on vacation, but that doesn't mean I won't not be online. I just won't be streaming. So thanks for hanging out. I've really enjoyed this impromptu. I wasn't planning on this when I started. I just saw Superlist. I was like, this seems cool. And I've got a week and 3/4 till vacation. Let's see what we can do. But I really enjoyed it. And I am looking forward to my vacation naturally, but I'm also looking forward to getting back and figuring out what kind of stuff I want to do next. So stick around. We'll see what's up. And till next time, I guess. Enjoy your Sunday fun day. All right. Catch y'all on the other side.